Hey again. So, I've been getting some random questions, not random, but I've been getting some questions about my last, yeah, pardon my homeboy in the background. I'm at work. So, excuse me. So, I want to make sure that I clarify a couple things. I want to answer a couple of questions, and I want to explain a bit. So, when I'm flustered and angry, I know I miss parts and I may have misspoken on a couple notes. I wanted to make sure that I was getting across my point, what I was concerned about, what I was mad about, what I didn't appreciate, and what I need out of this through this process when I do all these checklists. So someone asked about the checklist. Do I need these things for IVF? For me, yes. For my protocol, yes. There is a checklist for all IVF patients, but each patient will be different according to if you have PCOS, if you have heart conditions, diabetes, etc. If you have, if you're between 40 and 42, if you're between 42 and 44. Once you turn 45, 46, the tests are added on. So what's different from last year's checklist, and he's telling you, is I turned 45 since I started IVF. So what was added this year was the stress test and the 2-hour glucose tolerance. The 2-hour glucose tolerance is related to diabetes. That affects gestation, obviously. The stress test is about how much pressure your lungs and your heart and your body can handle. The mammogram is because being on so many hormones off and on and for so long, and the wide range of hormones can interfere with breast tissue. So they want to make sure you don't have lumps. They want to make sure you don't have any abnormalities. Of course, your well woman exam, I think that just goes without saying, but for some, they question. I don't question. All these things that they've told me to do and asked me to do make sense to me. So I wasn't questioning it. Typically, you don't have to have a mammogram every year. But for me, it just made sense. Like, they want to just make sure your body is good, it's cool, before they start putting more pressure on you and adding medications and starting the medications again. And I didn't have any objection to it. What I knew would be stressful was setting the appointments, which part of the day I had to take off work, or if I could just leave early. Could I do it on the weekends? If I did have to leave work early, how would that affect my client and the child who's in school, the oldest one? Where I'd have to travel, was it convenient? All these things go into me doing these appointments because most of these are specialists. The MFM is a specialist, maternal fetal medicine doctor. He's a specialist. The MRI was included because I had fallen over a month ago and I tore my meniscus in my right knee. So I needed to get clearance from that. I needed to make sure that that doesn't interfere with IVF. And eventually me carrying. So it was necessary. Maternal fetal medicine doctor wants to check your heart rate, your blood pressure. He wants to know that you can carry safely. I did get clearance from him, but with a note about he wanted me to go back down to my baseline, which was when I saw him last year, which was a few pounds lighter, and my blood pressure wasn't so high. He did recognize that day that he sensed that I was probably nervous or just under pressure, which was explaining my blood pressure being a tiny bit high. My weight is not a problem per se. It's just noted because of, different reasons. You don't want to start a problem on top of, you don't want to go into something with a problem. So he said my weight and my blood pressure at the time was not problematic, just worthy of note. Most doctors recognize IVF causes weight gain. Estrogen levels going up and down causes water retention, stress, etc., etc. He was happy with the fact that I have a frequent visitation to a psychotherapist, which means I'm having stress relief. I'm able to talk about things and such. This year, I did not have to get another psychiatric clearance. The first year I did. My IVF Institute requires that I would go see a psychiatrist to get clearance. And basically what that appointment was, putting everything on the table, knowing what the consequences are and the chances of things coming up, and how I was going to handle explaining to my child and knowing that I won't have a father for the child. That this is completely donor sperm. I'm doing this on my own, especially with me not having a partner, and knowing and understanding what I was doing, the depth of what I'm doing. The psychiatrist also brought up me being prepared to reduce my pregnancy. Explanation. I am only transferring one embryo at a time. Some people want two. Some doctors don't do two. At my age, for me, for my situation and for my protocol, it was advised and said that they will only allow one at a time. They will not pack the uterus. One embryo can split, period. So if there's two placed, that means there's a slim chance, but a chance that one embryo splits, well, the other embryo can split, and you could have anywhere between 3 and 4 pregnancies. You'd have to decide to reduce the pregnancy should something, you have to turn it upside down. You had it upside down, you have to turn it right side up. You have to decide, okay, well, Kimberly, this is too much pressure on your body. One baby is suffering, you're suffering. We need to reduce the pregnancy. So imagine not, just doing one and you do two and both split, or one splits and the other doesn't. That's 3 pregnancies. So in my case, it will just be one embryo. Still the chance of it splitting and becoming 2 pregnancies. I still would have to have myself prepared for if something were to be of risk. If something were to happen, you have to turn it right side up. Be very patient with yourself. Push. There you go. Yay! And yeah, you're proud of yourself. Yeah, you did a great job. So if something were to come up, I'd have to be ready to say, okay, reduce the pregnancy, take me from 2 babies to 1 baby. This year, I did not have to do the psychiatric clearance. I guess I only needed 1. Mammogram, EKG. Okay, so EKG, monitor my heart. 2D echo, something again with the heart. Stress test. Got to run on this treadmill, that episode of The Cosby Show when Cliff was acting a fool. I have to do that. Woman, mammogram, EKG, stress test, 2D echo, a lipid panel. Lipid panel just basically means I have to fast for so many hours and then go in and do that. They just take the blood and I just keep it going. I don't have to make an appointment for that. Everything else is by appointment. Now, I can do the mammogram without, I think I scheduled it without leaving work early. Oh, no, it's scheduled for a Saturday. Yeah. And then I can turn around and go through this in the same building. I can go through this, to the other side of the building through this tunnel, and I can go over there and do my EKG. And the stress test, walk in. They have certain walk-in hours. So getting things done, scheduling things, it's just stressful. And yesterday I just lost it because there was so much that goes into me leaving work early. She has to leave her job early. She then has to take her kid out of school, and she doesn't go to aftercare, which is already paid for. Then she comes home, and then we have to make sure we put this little one down for his nap so that she can continue working because she was still on the clock. I left out of here on time. I got to my appointment on time. I was there at 3:30, and I was not taken to the back until 4:15. That set me off. And then I had a doctor walk in that was not my doctor at 4:45. So that's over an hour. And I still didn't get to see my specialist. That's right. So I just had an issue with that. And I left out of there at 5 o'clock. And I had to go straight to another doctor's appointment. My therapist, my psychotherapist. So I got to vent about it. You want it back open? Then you closed it. You kind of shot yourself in the foot there, kid. There you go. Just don't smash your finger. So when I came out of my psychotherapist appointment, that's when I got the email saying, hey, you came in. This is what you had done. This is what we looked at. This is what we screened you for. And one of those screenings results was severely obese. Now, it was one thing to not see my own specialist that I went to go see, but she didn't discuss it with me. She didn't say anything about it. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting clearance. I need clearance. The whole point of this appointment is for you to fax over the information to my reproductive endocrinologist and let them know that I am cleared to continue IVF. So that's alarming in that whether it's a European scale or a scale that gives, room for certain instances, no one said anything to me. Just to look up and see severely obese, well, what? Are you saying that this is a problem? Are you going to send something that does not give my RE the confidence that I can continue? Was it problematic? Is it understood? Is it like, okay, well, it's mostly water weight, or it's okay, we know that she's gonna gain it. Make sure she loses some of it before she does a transfer, which I am thoroughly planning on doing, and I'm writing out my keto meal plans and recipes for that because I don't want to get pregnant at this weight. So when there's so much that goes into it and you're leaving work early, missing money, I'm self-employed. This is how I make my money. And I bake cookies on the side. I don't run a commercial bakery. This is something that I do on the side to make sure that I've got, some cheddar and some coins in my pocket, So I'm hoping that this clarifies some things. I'm glad that I've calmed down. Dude, you keep closing it when you don't know how to open it. So, ouch, that's my finger now you're smashing. Yeah, I know you're sorry. I called the office. I left a message for the manager. I explained to the ouch, you're smashing my finger. I explained to the office, well, not the office manager, she's gonna call me back. I explained to the woman at the front desk, administrator, receptionist, not sure, that I was displeased with the scheduling of my appointment and the lateness, and that I did not see my doctor, that I was not offered to see my doctor. Hey, we're running behind. We've got another doctor here helping us. Is that okay, or do you really want to see your doctor? I wasn't given the choice, and then I wasn't briefed on my results or anything regarding that email. And once I calm down, it just takes a minute for me to get all those details right. So I'm hoping this helped. I'm gonna stop rambling now, and I'll check y'all later.